Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your worst best friend, Ramboss Terrible, and I'm here to take the job of Microsoft Sam because I really can't stand his voice. Let's do this. Am I the asshole because I wouldn't duck down on a roller coaster so a family could have a family pic of just them? I was on a roller coaster, I guess you can consider it that. It's one of those water rides that have tracks to pull it up. Anyway, the boat fits like 6 people in it, and I was with a family of 5. I was in the back, and when we were going up to the top, they asked me to duck down, as when we're going straight down, there will be a photo, and they wanted a family photo. I'm not sure if it's against the rules, and I think it would have been safe if I did it, but I really just didn't want to, and I felt like I shouldn't have to duck for them, so I said no. The parents kept arguing with me, telling me to duck so they can have their family photo, and they called me a spoiled brat. I told them to go fuck themselves, and then we started going down. This is where I may have been an asshole. I flipped off the camera and made a funny face with my tongue out. Holy shit, when they looked at the photos, they were livid, saying I ruined their opportunity to have a nice family photo. They asked where my parents were, and I told them to get lost. Their kids were just laughing their asses off. I'm not sure if they bought the photos or not. The dude who operated the photo said I was immature and need to grow up. Honestly, on those rides, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to actually get in any type of position that's not like the recommended seated position. Otherwise, those like little safety mechanisms that hold you down don't exactly work 100% the way they're supposed to. So the family, in all reality, probably shouldn't have even asked you to try and duck out of the way, as that's purely like a safety issue. You say you probably would have been safe, and honestly, you probably would have been, but it's still against the rules. I don't really have a problem with the parents wanting to take a family picture. That's completely fine and pretty normal. What I do have a problem with is the parents just completely expecting you to just bow down to their whims. I'm really not a big fan of people who think the world just revolves around them, and just because they ask, it automatically has to be a yes. It's a free country and nobody's really gonna do what you want just because you're being polite. So was the kid an asshole for saying no to those parents? No, he's under no obligation to do what they want. But was he an asshole for sticking his tongue out and flipping off the camera? Still no, because I find that shit to be pretty funny. And honestly, he probably wouldn't have done that if the entitled parents hadn't called him a spoiled brat. Final verdict, the kid who flipped off the camera, not the asshole. The parents, 100% asshole. And actually, I'm gonna throw in the kids to the parents as not assholes because they thought that shit was funny. Next question. Am I the asshole for changing my baby's name despite promising my dead husband's family I named the child after him? I lost my husband due to COVID when I was about 3 months pregnant. Don't let that affect your judgment against me though. After he died, my mother-in-law thought it would be a great idea to name the baby after him if it was a boy, which I agreed with at the time because I was just so overwhelmed with emotion. She said it would be like he's still there in a way. When my son got here, even though I still wanted to honor him, I'm not so sure I wanted to name the baby after my husband. I feel like that's just sticking to the past and that my baby should be his own person, so I gave him a different name on his birth certificate. When I made the announcement on Facebook that baby Lucas had arrived, I started getting confused comments from my mother-in-law. She called me a few hours later, asking why I had broken the promise. I told her my reasoning, and that I just wanted to move on in a healthy way. I felt like calling my husband's name when referring to my son would hurt me and make the process harder. Now, she didn't yell at me, but she did say how disrespectful it was to my husband to not include him in my son's life in some way. She also brought up the fact that I had not even told her or his extended family that I was changing my mind. I told her personally that I felt like I didn't need to, as she was just my mother-in-law and not my husband. That's when she raised her voice. She said she had been waiting all this time to meet her grandson, and now she doesn't even want to see him. I said that was fine, and I hung up. I do feel bad that I didn't honor the promise, but I feel like I don't owe her or anyone anything. Am I the asshole? Again, please judge bluntly and honestly, despite my loss. With this story, I kind of can see it from both sides. I completely understand the wife's not wanting to relive her husband's death every time she has to call her son's name. But at the same time, I understand the mother's feeling for wanting, the memory of her son to remain alive through the name of her grandson. I do feel like this problem could have been resolved with like a simple phone call just a few weeks prior to the baby being born. The wife is right that the mother-in-law is just the mother-in-law and she doesn't really owe her anything. However, the mother-in-law is still the mother of her deceased husband. If anything, just letting the mother know that she wasn't going to name her son after the father would have just been like a respectful thing to do. This is one of those cases where just because you don't have to do something doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I feel like a little bit of forethought and maybe a little bit of respect for the mother-in-law would have gone a long way here. In this one, there doesn't really seem to be like a definitive bad guy and like a definitive good guy. It just seems like everybody kind of sucks. Final verdict, the wife, 50% asshole, the mom, 50% asshole, but together, 100% asshole that could have been 0% asshole had they just picked up a phone. Next question. Am I the asshole for trying to teach my daughter what I thought was menstrual etiquette? I, 50 male, have 3 children, 2 daughters, 18 and 12, and a son, 15. Over the summer, my youngest got her first period. I always try to make sure that we're well stocked, so I showed her where she could find the necessary supplies, as well as the bottle of ibuprofen in the medicine cabinet. Not knowing whether or not her mom had the talk with her, I asked if she had any questions or if she needed anything. She told me she'd rather talk to her sister if that was okay. Not wanting to make her uncomfortable, I said it was fine, but I told her if she ever needed anything, to not be afraid to ask me. Thursday night, it was just my youngest 2 and I, as my older daughter was at work. I hit the bathroom and noticed a couple drops of blood on the toilet seat and the floor. No big deal, I wiped it up and went about my business. Maybe I was wrong to assume, but I figure that my daughter is still getting the hang of things, and if my son was bleeding, he'd come and tell me. So when I went to say goodnight, I asked my daughter if she was on her period. I immediately could tell she was embarrassed when she asked why. I told her I wasn't trying to embarrass her, but there was a little blood on the seat and that it's no big deal, but it's a good habit to make sure that the toilet is clean before you leave the bathroom. I mean this in a general way for anything you do in the bathroom. She said okay, we said goodnight, and that was that. Again, I don't care. The only reason I brought it up is because she spends every weekend at her friend's house, and I feel like it's just good etiquette. You never know how someone is going to take it, and I figure it was better coming from me. My older daughter, though, told me this morning that my younger daughter was crying a little bit and was completely humiliated. I feel horrible. I didn't mean any harm. I was just trying to help. She hasn't talked to me much today, and I can tell she's avoiding me. I don't know if I should apologize or just let it go. I don't know how to make this right. Man, my heart goes out to this dad. So it definitely sounds like the mom and dad are divorced, and he's obviously just not sure if the mother has sat the youngest down and had that conversation with her yet. So this dad had to have probably one of the most difficult conversations you can have as a father with his daughter. So ladies out there, as men, you have to kind of give us a pass a little bit because we genuinely just don't know what it's like to go through that. I mean, we can empathize, but that's still not the same as physically going through it. This dad honestly sounds like he was just trying to do what's best for his daughter, and that's super commendable. A real man will step up for his daughter in any situation, even if that situation isn't exactly comfortable for the man. I do feel bad for the daughter just because she got, embarrassed a little bit, but I think in the long run, she'll be able to look back and realize that her father was just looking out for her best interest. I think she'll come to realize that he genuinely didn't mean any harm. Final verdict, I don't see any assholes here, but for the dad who actually wrote the question, 100% not the asshole. Next question. Am I the asshole for wearing a bracelet from my ex-boyfriend around my current boyfriend, even after he asked me not to? I, 27 female, have been seeing my boyfriend, 29 male, for about 9 months. I think things are going well, at least for the most part. However, there is just one small bone of contention between us. A few months before we had met, I had ended things with another man. He was a full 17 years older than me, and we had been together for a couple of years before the age difference eventually caught up with us, and I broke it off with him. During my past relationship, my ex-boyfriend had gifted me a jeweled bracelet for my birthday. I loved it. I love the way it looks, and I ended up getting attached to it. I wear it pretty much always, unless I'm showering or exercising. I even sleep with it on. Maybe that's strange, but I just like having it on me for whatever reason. It wasn't something that was wildly expensive. I wouldn't wear it all the time if it were, but it has some value. My current boyfriend didn't really notice the bracelet at first, but eventually he did. Once he did, he asked me about it, and I told him where it came from. He said, "Really? Why are you still wearing jewelry from your ex? That's not normal." I have no idea whether it's normal, but again, I just like the bracelet. It was a gift from me. Wearing it has nothing to do with my ex. But my boyfriend has asked that I at least not wear the bracelet around him because he now can't unknow that it was a gift from my ex. I think he's being silly, but although he won't say it, I get the feeling one of his issues is that my ex was fairly well off, while my current is still largely getting his feet under him in his career and can't afford to give me something like the bracelet. Am I the asshole? Personally, I'm not a big fan of people telling other people what they can and can't wear. However, it's not really that weird that the boyfriend is like, hey, would you mind not wearing that, at least in front of me? And I'm sure there's going to be people out there who are like, oh, he's being controlling by asking you not to wear that bracelet. Oh, it's a huge red flag. And I think those people are being ridiculous. Honestly, you're probably right that your boyfriend still probably feels like he's competing with your ex. So as where you just see a nice shiny bracelet, he still sees that as your attachment to your ex. I feel like your boyfriend's completely justified in feeling that way. I don't think he's trying to control you or anything like that. I genuinely just get the impression that he cares about you and doesn't want to feel like he's competing with somebody from your past. A relationship's a two-way street. You have to be able to understand the emotions of your partner, otherwise it's not going to work. Completely invalidating your boyfriend's feelings about the bracelet isn't exactly a great sign about the strength of your guys' relationship. You might want to at least consider not wearing the bracelet around him if you actually picture a future with this guy. Now, if shit started getting crazy and he was like, I don't want you to dress a certain way, or I don't want you to talk to certain people, like that's a little nuts. But him just expressing his feelings about your bracelet that your ex gave you, that's fine. Final verdict, boyfriend, not the asshole. Girlfriend, 100% asshole. If you guys have made it this far, know that I really appreciate it, and it also means that you probably enjoyed the content. Keep in mind that at the time of posting this video, this channel will only be about 3 days old. So if you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing because I really am trying to get this channel off the ground. And that, my friends, is the end of the video. Whether or not you agreed with me or disagreed with me, please go ahead and leave a comment down below explaining your point of view. Also, don't forget to hit that like button because, like I said, we are a new channel and we are trying to get things a-rolling here with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're really feeling froggy about helping us, please go ahead and subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to take care of each other. Peace out.